Happy birthday to you. Happy
No.
birthday to me. Happy
Yes.
birthday to us. Happy birthday, yippee. Welcome
Yay.
to Crow's Nest, the show where two old
Oh,
friends who are just a little bit older are going to talk about Skeleton Crew and enjoy their birthday. I'm
Yeah.
Mike the Mailman. That's Jimmy the Old Guy Jedi. And joining us today is our good friend, Commander Taylor. How's everybody
hello.
doing?
We're pretty
Good.
good. Pretty good.
Feeling old, man. I feel a year older.
Yeah, well, it
So,
happens to the best of us.
yeah. Wow.
Your aim will get better. Don't worry.
All right. Well, man, I can't believe it's over,
I know.
right? This has been a fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
So such a great show. It does
it just
suck
hit
that
me
it's
that it's
over,
over.
but
It's
if they
crazy, though.
couldn't
Go
have
ahead,
been
Mike.
any better. They couldn't have done any better.
No, I've got questions. I've got notes. As usual, folks, we try to kind of take the show and run from start to finish, but we do get kind of sucked up into things, so we'll jump all over the place. We want to hear what you have to say, what you thought of it. So let us know as we're ripping through this. Like, yeah, I can't, it's the way that it is with all these shows. The hype. I mean, Mike, you and I we did like 14 or 15 shows leading up,
Yep.
just kind of getting prepared for this. And then, the countdown and it's just boom, it's done. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
7 weeks over. It's crazy.
It is.
I will say that everyone who's listened to our main show that I may have been rooting for Vane the Pirate tonight, just a smidge, because Marty Matolis was an awesome guest. If you get an opportunity, go check out the main show from this week. We had Vane the Pirate, who's, from season 3 of Mandalorian, and there's been a bunch of episodes in this, much bigger part, lots of speaking roles. And the guy was just absolute delight to have on the show. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into episode 8, The Real Good Guys, written by Ford and Watts, directed by Watts. We had known that he was going to bookend, he started off the series and he was going to finish the series. And my very first note is Jod still sucks. So I don't know about you guys, but I just now we get a little bit of something towards the end.
Yeah.
But and I don't want to be one of those fans who's like, well, I had this idea of what was going to happen and it didn't happen, so I'm mad about it. But I just kind of kept waiting for it to flip, like him to be a good guy.
Yeah.
We just never got
That's the Disney way.
Never happened.
That's the Disney way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you guys feel? Like, we get a good recap. I mean, some of the stuff we assumed was going to happen did.
Mhm.
And then we get Jod right where he's starting from. And what do you guys think of the opening? Let's just kind of start from there.
Well, it was almost exactly what I expected it to be. We talked about it last week. Obviously, Jod wasn't going to go and dice up the kids and their family. And I think I said last week, he's going to pretend that he's an actual Jedi. He's there to, load up his gold and take off. And it kind of went that way.
Yeah. Taylor, about you?
I don't know. I thought me being a parent, like I would definitely be able to read that something was up with my kid. So why were all of these parents so okay? Like at first I thought they all know that this guy's lying. They're in it. Like, and then it's like, wait, they actually aren't afraid of him. Like they actually believe that he's a good guy right now, which they lost me there, because if my kid came off a ship and wasn't like, oh, this is the whole story of him talk, like, why aren't you talking, Wim? What's wrong with you? Like, come on,
Yeah.
Dad, figure it out. Something's up.
No,
yeah.
That's a really good point.
Come on, parents, right?
I feel like they're just so sheltered there that, there was almost no expectation that anything could go bad. You know what I mean? So, I mean, to me, that's kind of the explanation there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I wrote down the kids are the only ones with real world experience. So
Yeah.
they've been on this journey a week, 2 weeks. I mean, we don't know how long they were gone. It probably wasn't that long, but they're the only people in this scenario or from at Atten who's ever had any outside world experience. Like
Yeah.
everything, there seems to be no bad people on at Atten. There seems to be nothing they don't know to be afraid, right? I
Right.
mean, that's
Mhm.
what, and I
Yeah.
think that was cool. And I'm really concerned for the people of at Atten at the end of the show because, like, what happens now? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we'll get to that here in a little bit, and of course, we'll talk about it this weekend. You know, because we are here just to kind of talk about this episode by itself, and of course, we can ask some questions. But, and of course, they all split up. He sends them all off. We're going to finally get to see the supervisor, which I was super excited about. I want, you know, kind of the whole Wizard of Oz thing going on. And then, but first we get Wim and Wendell, Wim's dad. They're having dinner. Did you guys like that? Like, it's like getting heated up, and then he's like, "Oh, nothing like a home cooked meal," and that looked terrible.
Yeah.
I was like, "What is that crap?"
Yeah, right.
Are-
But then you look around and there isn't even, I don't think there actually is a kitchen inside those little homes. I don't
Yeah.
think there is. So I think that's what it is. It's like this crazy microwave that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. The TV dinners we grew up with looked more appetizing than what they were eating there.
Yeah, absolutely. So then his dad's like, just getting back to it. All right, we're gonna get you your assessments, and it just shows you, like, you know, we all have jobs. We all have, you know, we got to go do things. We got to go get the grind, and it's just like, man, there's more to it, you know. And Wim's,
Yeah.
there's a really good. They don't really say it, but Wim's seen things that he can't unsee now. He
Mhm.
knows what's out there, right? They know as adults. You know, we found out last time that you find out the story of Ad Atten when you graduate, but like Wim and his kids, you know, and all the 4 kids have seen things and they've experienced things. Now they're a little concerned, and I think it was Fern that gives a really good monologue about stuff we'll get to later on. But you know, I mean, how do you? I don't even know how you, you know, when you like you leave home and you come back and it's different,
Yeah.
right, Mike?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you know what I mean. Like, so that's what I mean on a whole grander scale. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then, did you guys have any feelings about that interaction where I was kind of annoyed with Wendell. I'm like, dude, you just got your
Yeah.
son back and you're talking about assessments. Like the whole reason you knew he ran away and you're
Mhm.
sitting there just talking about that. And I was like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
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 They don't really have that good of a connection.
Yeah.
No.
And that was part of the reason why I thought that his dad was like forcing this fake conversation because the droid's literally standing right there. But that's when I realized, like, oh, they're not cluing in that this is a bad guy. So I
Yeah.
thought that this whole conversation was like fake, but no, he is getting him right back into work and school.
Yeah, it's bonkers. What about you, Mike?
I mean, I guess it's just the only way that those people know, you know, it's they know
It's their
nothing else.
normal.
Like you said, they're like children. They're like the babies in this scenario. Like they have no idea what's in the outside world. And to him, the most important thing is, you know, getting his kid back on the path to some sort of future. So I mean,
Yeah, it's nuts. And I mean, I don't know if that's like Watson Ford, you know, they're obviously like creative people. They've had this crazy life. It was their way to be like, man, just, you know, just the difference in, you know, the day to day or go kind of chase your dreams. And I thought it was kind of cool. I'm probably reading into it too much, but just given like what I've been going through this last couple of days with school and things like that, it's like, you know, just you can either just become part of the, you know, wheel and, you know, cog in the wheel, or you can go out and you can do something fun. And I, you know, it just shows you the difference. And of course, then we flash over to the supervisor. It's really exciting. And they go in there, and I noticed right away that those droids had guns. They
yeah.
had blasters. And that's the first time I think we've seen them with blasters. But then
Mm.
everything's covered in
Well,
like a foot of dust.
yeah. And they had blasters last episode because they
Did
blasted
they?
they
Well,
stunned all the
yeah.
parents, remember?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
look familiar. Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's like dust everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
and then Fern's mother, is it Farah?
yeah, thanks, Farrah.
She's like, oh, it's so beautiful. Like, oh, just like being captured by this like droid. Like, yes, this
And
guy
she
takes
knew it was
care
a
of us.
droid.
We're
Yeah.
yeah, she's like, we are the ant farm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just
Yeah, it did seem like she did know it was a droid, and I didn't expect. I thought maybe she had never even met the supervisor.
that's
I thought it was going to be a
exactly.
surprise to everyone, but yeah,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so as well. I
Well,
thought, oh
Jimmy,
my gosh.
didn't you say you think it's a droid running the whole thing? Like
Yeah, I
episodes
thought it
ago?
was.
So
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
called
I don't
it.
know if it was like a off the wall guess or anything like that. I just kind of felt with the way those droids were working and how like robotic and some of the decisions that the supervisor was making was very
yeah,
droid like,
yeah,
Yeah,
AI.
no emotion. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
they're
this is what we
kids,
have to do.
whatever.
Um, but yeah, and then I thought it was a pretty cool scene. He's talking. The droid totally trips Jod up because Jod's
yeah,
lying about a lot of things, and the droid's like, "Well, which one are you lying about?" I thought that was pretty awesome.
yeah, yeah. That was
Yeah.
really cool.
So,
Oh,
uh,
yeah, the last transmission we got from the Republic was that the Jedi
Mhm.
were traitors.
so that
Got
means
me
that like right
good.
after Order 66, like
Yep.
that's when contact was lost. So they
Mhm.
really hadn't been separated for that long. It's like what 30 years or something like that. I mean, because it's what like 20 years until the Battle of Yavin or whatever. Something. I need to put a dang timeline up on my wall
Timeline.
so I can
Yeah.
just look at it.
Yeah,
And be like, all right, this is
yeah,
when this happened. This is when that happened. I'll do that one of these days. But it was not that long, right? Anakin's
no,
fall. He becomes
Mhm.
Vader, and then all that stuff happens. So they hadn't
yeah,
really
so
been separated for that long of a time
yeah,
period from the
No,
galaxy.
right.
they've
But
just
someone was
missed
just
Which
the whole original trilogy.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
which
Yeah,
it is a little strange because the parents seemed like they had no idea what was going on in the outside world. Like if it's only been 30 years, like Wim's dad would have been maybe a teenager,
yeah.
Ooh,
when contact was shut off. So like they seem like they don't even remember that time, like they've
right.
been there for hundreds of years and just living the AT-AT life. But I mean, AT-AT may have been very sheltered and just had some sporadic communication or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like they should at least have history of when,
mm,
I don't know, they connected with the Republic or anything like that,
yeah,
right? So, hmm.
Yeah, it was weird, but I do think that like the only people who had any contact is the supervisor, right? I mean, seems like the droids and the supervisor handled things when
mm,
situations occurred. And there's so much that this opens up. I don't want to jump to the end, but I want to jump to the end because I'm like, oh my gosh, like um but then I just put holy beep, he killed it, right? So he sticks the lightsaber in the eye of and what before that though, did you hear the supervisor say he'd been watching their careers very
mm,
closely, almost like
Yes,
yep,
saying
it was
to
so good.
yeah,
So
I
good.
was like, oh, that's a good nod. And then the eye would change from red to blue, depending on the stuff he said. And like when he says that, when the AI says that, he has that red eye, and then it switches to blue real quick. And I was like, oh, that's kind of
yeah,
creepy
that
because
was
like,
interesting.
Yeah, it was
yeah,
like when he was talking to that Addins, or
yeah,
it was
at
blue and like
knees.
it was,
Atatians.
yeah, yeah. So it's like it's almost like emotion. It's like the machine's emotions. It's like blue is
Yeah.
like calming, blue, and then red is just like I don't trust you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, yeah. That's a good point too. I mean, obviously, we hop on here and we try to talk about this right away. It is difficult, because we only seen that scene one time,
Yeah.
and I know like my brain was exploding the whole time. Like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen? I'm like,
Uh,
like a dog
I
with
was
a
like
bone.
shaking. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm like, is this because I've had 4 coffees today and no food, or is it because this is amazing?
it's
yeah.
because it's probably
It
a
was
good
amazing.
combination of two, I think, Taylor. But yeah,
Oh
Ed
my gosh.
Friday, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that towards the end. Is that just the Star Wars way now, not to answer anything? Like,
Yeah. We talked about this last week. I mean, how disappointed are we going to be if we don't get answers? And I think
I
we got some answers. Like John did tell a little bit about his story. You got
oh
his
yeah, we'll get to
backstory
that.
to
That's
some
awesome.
extent. But
Oh,
yeah, I
Like
mean,
there's a comic book or something coming about that.
yeah. I
there's
mean,
so many
I
ideas.
can't complain about not getting all the answers because I just enjoyed the whole thing. I just loved it. I mean, this last episode, I've just had so many Botcha just got so emotional, and you got that, oh yeah, and then
Yeah.
almost crying about things, and just like you're on this emotional roller coaster about
Yeah.
a stupid show.
Mhm.
And it only lasted 35 minutes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like a 35-minute
Felt
run.
so much longer.
Yeah, it wasn't even the runtime, but we kept wanting longer episodes and longer episodes. But I mean, in hindsight, it would have been nice for it to last longer. But I can't complain about the length at all because it hit
Well, it
all the notes that
jam-packed,
you wanted
too.
it to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just such a great flow. So I mean, I could gush forever, but yeah.
I will
We'll
say
go
that
on.
I agree with Mike. I felt a lot of emotions. I was like super excited, super like scared. I mean, I knew nothing was ever going to happen to those kids, and you can kind of see Judd
Right.
did not want to hurt those kids. But
Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot of emotions in this. I mean, we knew
Yeah.
KB wasn't going to die, but you still was like, oh, and
Mhm.
just a sense of for
Yeah.
I really loved it.
Yeah. And speaking
and
of
we
speaking of Jod too, like we did talk a little bit about him. Was he going to get redemption? Is he still a jerk? But I mean, we came to find out that he is really just a hurting dude, and he didn't want to hurt anybody. And I think, I mean, he didn't get 100% redemption, but I really feel like I wasn't thinking he's such a jerk by the end of it.
he was like a 9 out of 10 at the end, where he was like a 12 out of 10 for me. I felt like this turn too, like it went from being a kid show the first like 6 or 7 episodes, or
Mhm.
5 or 6 episodes, and the last 2 got kind of dark. People
Yeah.
getting blasted, heads getting chopped off. Like,
Yeah.
he's like
Well,
stick to
once they got to
Sable.
the spa planet, things turned. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we get a couple cool scenes. They get they drop the barrier, not that don't drop the barrier. They get permission for the ship to come in, and we got that beautiful, beautiful scene of that cruiser, whatever that
Yeah.
pirate ship was called. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but coming in, breaking through the clouds, and then just kind of, I thought that was, I don't know what you guys thought about that scene, but I was like, oh my goodness, like
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah.
gorgeous,
Mhm.
gorgeous scene. And then of course we get some hot tub Neil. So
Yeah, of course. Of course.
you
Neil's
know,
first chance at freedom, and he's in the bathtub again.
some bear chest for Neil.
Hey, if you have a bathtub that is that huge in comparison, I mean, I guess you have a big
Yeah.
family, like your dad's massive, right? So you need
Yeah.
I'd be in that bath every day.
Especially with that skylight and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can look up and you can see the barrier. Awesome. But that when the ship came out of the clouds, I don't know if it's just like the angle that I saw, but I'm like, oh man, that is like the Enterprise right there. What is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just missing the two. So it just reminded me of like the evil giant one from the second Star Trek movie. We're not on that. Sorry. No more Star Trek. But
That's all right.
it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the thing. Everything in this show, like we talked about it, you guys talked about it on the main show today with Marty. Just the way that they're using the volume, and like they've gotten so much better at it. Like all these shots don't look out of place; they look natural. It looks, I don't know, you don't see the off-putting things that you used to see in some of the earlier shows when they were experimenting with the volume. Like it's just looked great. I mean, like a real ship is coming into an atmosphere, it's not cartoony, it's not fake looking at all. They did a really good job.
Yeah, I was blown away, and I was really surprised. I don't want to say too much about our, the conversation. You should go listen to it, but he told us afterwards too, like there was a lot shot on the volume.
Yeah,
like way more than I thought, given the fact that, like, Taylor and you and I talked about it at length when we were doing like the Ahsoka stuff, like how you could always just kind of tell.
You could tell. It was almost like you could tell where the back of the part people could stand was, like, instantly.
Yes,
so.
exactly. And
but I haven't even thought about it one time this whole show.
Yeah,
obviously they used the volume. My goodness. Oh.
So that kind of makes me feel better for the Mando and Grogu movie. You know what I mean? Like, because I was a little concerned they wrapped up so quickly that it was going to be all campy. But Ed here says, I want to say I'm a little disappointed. I loved it, but it felt rushed a little trying to cram it all in 35 minutes. I was surprised by the runtime.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I thought it was going to be another 4 because I think the very first episode was like 46 or 47 minutes. And of course, you're taking some time, with the credits and the opening and stuff like that. But I was surprised by the short. I mean, there's only 5 or 6 minutes, but I think they got what they told the story, and there wasn't really any downtime. Like I didn't feel like I had a chance to breathe.
Yeah.
I couldn't write notes.
Yeah, it was really difficult.
I'm a big note writer, and I think I wrote the first the opening scene, and it was like I can't. So yeah, Ed, you're totally right. There was so much going on crammed in. I couldn't even write a single note. So I'm like, well, I know Jimmy wrote notes because he always does. So I'll just take Jimmy's lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did cram a lot in, but I didn't feel like it was rushed at all. Like I always,
No.
if I always compare it to the final season of Game of Thrones. Like when you watch that season, like the whole thing just seemed so rushed, like they were racing towards the end. And this didn't feel like that at all. Like it was a lot crammed into a little bit of time, but the pacing was still good. Like they got everything in. It didn't feel so rushed, really.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch it again tomorrow probably, but Ed says he didn't feel like a finale. I'm expecting another episode next week. And I think for me, I want another episode next week. I feel like there was a definite okay, this adventure is over, and like the next chapter is about to begin. Because I mean, we got a lot of questions that we'll talk about at the end, but I feel like it wrapped up pretty good. I mean, but again, like that's just my opinion. Like for everyone's open to having that. I wish that there were more coming. I wish this was like an Andor 12 seasons, 12 episode season or whatever. But so we get those special effects. Neil's in the tub. Everyone loves a Neil in the tub. You know what species they are
It's
yet?
not creepy, man. It's not creepy.
Yeah,
Okay?
not creepy at all, man. I just like to see some Neil in the hot tub, baby. Yeah. We'll have to rename the show for season 2. And then of course, like the kids, they rally, they know where, the power gets shut off, all that craziness happens. And the kids like kind of save the day, and they're all outside looking up, and the ships are coming down. And it felt like E.T. to me. The kids on the bikes,
Mhm.
And again, I have not rewatched that movie since I think maybe I saw it to drive-in theater when we were kids. So it has been a minute. But I got
all those
super
iconic scenes just
excited.
stick with you.
What's that?
I said all those iconic scenes just stick with you. Like,
And I got so excited over a stupid kids show.
yeah.
And I wrote that the kids are going to save the day. And I
Uh-huh.
said, this is so ET. And this is where I put that note. Kids are the only ones with the real world experience. Then they have a great speeder bike chase. What did you guys think of the speeder bike chase? And how were you fired up? Like I was like, let's go. Like these kids are going to save the day. I was so fired up for it, man. It was awesome. So how did you guys feel about the kids jumping
Go ahead,
into
Taylor,
it?
take it.
And
Okay, thanks.
And then
Oh my gosh.
speeder bike stuff, because
But they're like, we need. Sorry, I'm so excited about it too. Yeah, Wendell's like, I'm heavier than you. What do you mean I can? They're just like, just trust her, and the music just goes like crazy, and you can like see the sky, and there's like the ship's coming down, and it's just like the dad's like, oh my, I'm stopping this right now. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I guess I'm not. Like, there's no, whoa, like I'm not going back to the house. Oh my gosh, but yes, that part, I think I actually was like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, because my husband hasn't watched it yet. He's outside our room, so I'm gonna jump off this and go rewatch it again.
Nice.
But there was definitely times where I just like yelled out loud because I was excited. I was like, what? But that part, just like the music is just going.
The music was great there, I thought. Really loved that. Music towards the end, and then the end credits music I thought was outstanding. I can't wait because usually it'll drop on Spotify tomorrow, I think. So that's exciting.
Yes.
Usually a day or two. Mike, were you hyped? Were you pumped?
Oh yeah. Yes. I mean, when the women KB pull up on this, not women KB, but Neil and KB pull up on those speeder bikes, and yes, the kids are gonna save the day. And like you said, they all jump on there and take off, and it's so fun just seeing them racing through, and the lasers are blasting at them, and then his dad stops the teenager, and like yeah, oh, he's gonna get involved too. And it was, just great, just so much fun.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought that chase scene was great. We got a couple chase scenes in this, and you
Mhm.
sit there and you think back to the mods and Boba Fett and everyone who thinks I love everything. I can't stand that scene in Boba Fett. Like, this is how you do a speeder bike chase.
Mhm.
This was awesome. I was
Oh my
conflicted a
gosh.
little bit because Vane, our friend Marty, he's up there trying to blast the kids. I'm like, go Marty, but don't hurt the kids. Um,
Yeah.
so, but I was pumped for him, as an actor to get a lot more screen time than he got.
Yeah.
And then of course they make that jump, and then Wim's dad is like, and Wendell is just like,
Yeah, he's like,
did you see that? Like, he was like so fired up. I was just like, oh my
Uh-huh.
god, this is
they're like,
amazing.
come on, Dad, we did that 4 episodes ago. Let's go.
Yeah, that was so fun. I just love
Yeah.
that enthusiasm. And then, um,
Oh,
they start they kind of like they divide up, and Wim's dad's like, you're talking to a level 7 communications, what a and he's like, yeah,
organizer.
that's what
Became a
dad
hero.
is stepping up, like he's gonna be
Uh-huh.
his son's hero after all. And
Yep.
I just,
That's
man, I
so
cannot
funny.
get enough of
I mean, before that though, you had Neil gets his bike shot out from under
oh
him.
yeah.
And for a second, you're like, oh no, Neil.
Like,
Then-
it's happening. No.
But
One
that
by
leads to
one,
Neil's.
the
It
kids
leads
are
to
gonna
Neil's.
die.
Right. It leads to Neil's hero moment. He
Yeah.
remembers we need cover, and Neil remembers. Oh yeah, there's a turbo
Where's
laser on the building.
school?
Got my
Oh.
first smooch. Got my first smooch up there.
Yeah.
At Akron. So yes.
Oh, that was so good. Even though we got only like
Mhm.
3 shots out, but that's
Yep.
still so good. Oh my gosh.
That was great. Yeah, because I was worried about him too, and he rolls out of the way just in time, and then you're like, "What's he gonna do?" And then he goes upstairs, like just like on it, on that
Mhm.
Akron, and I was like, "All right, he's gonna do it." So that was pretty awesome. I loved how every kid had their
Exactly.
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was really cool. Like, KB's flying the ship with, and of course we get SM-33's back. He's just holding his head.
She's like holding his head.
She's holding it, and he's like, "Keep my head steady." I loved it.
KB's parents are the best, dude. Like
Oh.
KB takes off and tells her parents, hide. I got this. And they're the one group that's just like, yes, our daughter can handle this. Like
Yeah,
more before anybody else, like our daughter has this. And they totally have her back the whole way. Is
it was pretty
just great.
awesome.
Yeah, right. And any other parent is like, stop, Wim, stop, come back.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's like, she's got it. We paid for the most expensive brain implant there is.
Yeah, she's an awesome character. All
Yeah.
these kids,
I love
man.
her.
Usually my collecting is driven by how much I like something. So I'll be getting all these Funkos and all these Black Series as the weeks go on, because I really enjoyed the show. And then we had all these fight scenes, and it cuts and it jumps back and forth. And again, like, it is difficult for us because we've only just watched it, like 5 minutes before we hopped on here. But Jod starts to show some remorse, and then when KB gets shot down, and they kind of watch that happening. Now, I didn't really think she was dead. I mean, I kind of
No.
It was too smooth.
But he has this remorse, and he kind of starts to go on his rant about, I was just starving. He's that whole starving thing again, what he talks about when he was talking with the pirates before. Then we get the bombs. I thought we got enough. I don't know about you guys. I don't know about Ed and Tahu, what you guys think. Anyone over there on Instagram, thanks for watching. What you guys thought about the backstory from Jod and the remorse he shows with KB, because he really is like disheartened that he thinks KB
Yeah.
is eating it, and I like that.
He was hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we said, none of us thought that KB was dead there.
No.
But I can tell you, I expected to see the ship pull up after it went under there. I expected to see it shooting back up into the sky.
I did too.
That didn't happen. Yeah.
Big music. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
And that,
yeah. Did you guys hear the music? Oh, excuse me. The way it played, it was kind of had that beat to it almost. Like,
Mhm.
I'll have to listen to it again, but I was sitting there with Molly. I was like, "Do you hear that in the music? Like, it's like this, like kind of like this upbeat." So I kind of expected that ship to like take
Yeah.
back off all of a sudden.
And it didn't. And
No.
that made it effective there too, because like you said, we didn't expect her to be dead. But when that didn't happen, we were expecting that to happen. And when it didn't, that played into that and led to that scene where, John shows the remorse and he's like, I didn't want any of this to happen. It didn't have to be this way.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's all sad.
yeah, it's weird. I mean, but he never hurt the kids. He showed remorse. I mean, he didn't show any remorse for any adults, that's for sure. Brutus obviously getting blasted and what he does with Shmi and SM-33 and everything like that. And then he gives us his backstory.
Yeah.
That he was a rat in a hole and starving, and then the Jedi found him and she was no better off. So this Jedi must have found him right after Order 66, yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
And then started training him, and then
Jimmy froze.
Whoop. Well, they were found.
Yeah.
there we go.
There he is.
My
He's
back,
back.
sorry.
Oh,
okay.
sorry, you froze. Okay.
I'm
But
assuming it's
that
Inquisitors, right? Inquisitors found
Yeah.
him and then they made him
watch.
them.
Watch.
So that screams Grand Inquisitor to me. I don't know about you guys. So
Yeah.
but-
Yeah, it does. Because
you
anyone
guys think of that
following
story?
strict orders would have just completely killed them both without
Yeah.
thought.
So how do we feel about the backstory? Like, is that enough for now? Because
For me,
remember, we thought like it was possible that he was just manipulating like metals and stuff like that. But when he force shoved Wendell, I thought, oh
Yeah. Oh,
So-
he went flying.
I mean-
My gosh.
yeah, when the droid started trying to blast him and he was blocking the shots, that's where you knew he has to have the Force. I mean, he can't do that without. So
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? Oh, go ahead. I forget what I was saying. I'll jump in when I remember.
Taylor, what do you think of the backstory? Like his story as kind of being trained as a Jedi, but not obviously having a very long time.
Well, the point of his story is the galaxy just sucks because he was in such this horrible situation, and all of a sudden he saw hope, and he was like, "Oh, there is like the Force is here, like there is hope in the galaxy," only to be completely just destroyed from that. And it's like, oh, guess not. Like I was so close. So it's like it just shows how horrible his life has been. He's always gotten the crap end of the stick, and it's made him mean about it. It's made him have to be mean to get
Do
to
what to do he needs to do to survive.
yeah,
Max
exactly.
almost.
Exactly. But he still does have a little bit of heart in him because you could see how he could feel about the kids. And Jude Law is such a good actor that those little bits of that little quirky smile or that little shake of the head or like scrunch of his eyebrows. He's doing that intentionally because those are the feelings that he's having. So
Yeah.
it's good. It's good. Makes
Yeah,
me feel bad, but at the same time, he's such a
Yeah.
jerk still.
I thought it was a really good story and kind of a message for kids that are watching the show. Like the world's tough, and it's like
Yeah.
I liked it. I felt like enough, and I was like, man, that's just enough to like sate my hunger for a little bit. But I want a comic or I want a book
Yeah.
and then thing too is like, and this is, and I don't know how deep we want to go into this, but like he has this, how like when you get a stray dog, they'll always just eat. They're always looking for food because they just never know when their next meal is. He's kind of been trained like that. He gets this short reprieve. He's taught the Force, and you would assume that when you're being taught to use the Force, you're also being taught to help people and everything that goes with being a Jedi, right? So that conflict inside of him has to be strong, and I think that's what we see with him not wanting to hurt the kids, but not really having a ton of remorse for, not having the remorse for like the adults or anyone who gets in his way. But they kept pushing him, and he still would not hurt the parents. He wouldn't hurt the kids. I don't think he sees pirates quite the same way as he sees civilians. But I just wonder about that conflict about his Jedi training, which let's say it was just a month or two. Whatever. I mean, I don't know how long it takes to learn what he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then just having that in the back of your mind, but you're also struggling with that. I don't want to be hungry. I want to be safe. I want to feel safe. So what do you guys think about that?
I like what you said about the the stray dog thing. You know what I mean? Like how a animal that never had food, it'll just keep eating because it doesn't know when the next bit of food is coming. That Jod kind of expresses that when he's down there in the vault. They could have just loaded up his ship with as much of those credits as he wanted, and he could have flown out of there with no problem. But he wanted to take the whole planet. He wanted all 1,400 of those vaults, not just one shipload. That would have been enough. He wanted it all. Like he couldn't help himself from, trying to take it all. Kind of like your starving dog analogy. I like that.
Yeah, right.
So, and of course, all hell breaks loose. The X-Wings show up. I don't know about you guys. I get this big bump of excitement. These endorphins kick in whenever you see X-Wings and,
Yeah.
B-Wings come flying in, and they're
Yeah.
like, S-foils in attack position. I'm just like, let's
go.
like yell out loud and cheer moments. I feel like the negativity, the negative, I've noticed on some Facebook groups and things like that. Not so much on social medias, but like on Facebook groups that we're in, there's a lot more people coming out like, "Oh, the show sucked," and blah blah blah. But how you can't get hyped up from all that, and if you're a real, like, I hate to say a real Star Wars fan because that's not fair. If you really love Star Wars, those things that kind of made it Star Wars, like when you see X-Wings and B-Wings come flying in to get set up, like
Yeah.
how do you not get fired up for that? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
how does that not get the juices flowing
Right.
and just bring back everything from the original trilogy?
Yeah.
If you're, in that age group or whatever. So,
I would when they come flying in and blast that thing. But after they took out the frigate, I did have this second of thinking, like, it could have came in and tried to settle this a different way because they blasted that thing over town and took out like two city blocks.
Well, maybe they know that like this massive thing of pirates that they've been trying to get rid of for a long time.
Yeah, but everybody's cheering.
You're right.
Destroying half the town.
I thought of Starlight Beacon when that was Fallen Taylor.
Yeah.
Like a miniature version of Starlight, and you're right, Mike, like just smashing it, and you think about like in Ahsoka, Hera tells Chopper she can't shoot the ship down because it'll fall over civilians, and these X-Wing pilots come in, lay waste to it. I was kind of hoping to see, I don't even know what I thought we would recognize some of the pilots, maybe like Carson Teva or I can't remember what Filoni's character's name is, something Wolf, but Trapper Wolf, right? Isn't that what it is?
I think so, yeah.
Or even Zeb, something that that's, and the thing is too, is like, so we get that, and then Wim like yells for Jod because like they do have that connection. I still don't necessarily understand why he yelled for him, but then he just stays there. And of course, that's that's the last time we see Jod. So Jod's a survivor. He's going to get off that planet and do whatever. And then, they find KB. She's fine. They got SM-33. He's fine. Happy ending. Everyone's hugging it out. And then they show the Tantive 4.
Yes.
And I thought, is that Leia? Like, because in this time period, if that's right after this is what 7-8 years after the fall of the Empire, after the original trilogy, that would be Leia's ship, right? Like she would be coming in as a like ambassador for the Republic. And I was like, and I was like, and so at first I was like, oh my gosh, like, is that Leia? Is that Mon Mothma? Like, who is in that ship? And I just, my imagination, I'm just going to say it was Leia coming in because in Rebels, we see her in that ship,
Yeah.
the end of the Force.
Even when she's younger too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought, oh, there's Princess Leia coming into, like, hey, we're going to take care of you. I thought that was pretty awesome, and they did it in a way too. I don't know what you guys, if you wanted more or not. And if you're watching, let us know. But I wanted more. We never got any cameos, but I feel like we got cameos without cameos with the Tantive. I mean, is the Tantive a cameo? Because like we know that ship, we kind of know who we think's in it. We don't know if it's a Tantive 4 or not, but is Nine Nub flying in with it with Princess Leia and so I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool when it ended though, and I think I kind of agree with you here. I was like, oh, like that's it. We're not going to get like a little meeting. The parents aren't gonna, there's not going to be Republic officers talking with the parents. I thought there was going to be
Yeah.
some kind of like end cut
Anything.
scene. Yeah, and the credits were great. So, what did you guys think about that ending? Was it enough for you? Ed seems like he thinks that it should have been more. Like he says, he didn't feel like it was a finale. But how did you guys feel about seeing the Tantive? How it ends? That whole, what's up with Jod? The Pirates run on the run. Like, where were you at with the ending of this episode?
Well, first off, that the interaction with Wim and Jod, I thought that was just amazing, that everything that they were through, everything that Jod put them through, and Wim still was reaching out to Jod, seeing that there might be some light left in the man, and you're like, come on, Jod. And,
Yeah, are you coming with us? Like,
yeah. I really like that scene. I really like that scene, but I liked, just moving ahead to the ending, I liked the way it ended. I'd rather, like, the pace of this show, it's been everything you needed and not a whole lot extra. It's had a good pace, a good flow. It's, kept you guessing, kept you wanting, and gave you everything that you wanted there. And in the end, I don't think I wanted everybody coming together and yay, the Republic is here and shaking hands and kissing babies and making up and stuff like that. I kind of liked it. It's over. It's done. Like, it left it. It was a satisfying enough ending that if we don't get a season 2, that's okay. It was ended, but it left you in a spot where something more could come. So I was happy with the ending for sure.
Yeah. I think that they had to kind of leave it like this because, not to bring up the Acolyte, but from what happened with the Acolyte, I don't think they knew where the fans really stood right now. So because so many people thought the Acolyte was going to be amazing and it came out, it just did so horrible. And I haven't done a rewatch of it, but I liked it. I didn't think it was absolutely the worst thing ever. Right. So when they're making this, they kind of probably went, ooh, let's just suck back a little bit just in case there isn't going to be room for a season 2 because the fans are nuts right now. So I think that's what happened there. But yes, there is so many questions. Like, where's Rened?
Yeah.
The main pirate. Yeah. Where the heck is he? My whole thing was that I thought it was going to be like his family living up in that supervisor tower, but
I thought there would be some connection.
Yeah, and I mean that scene where they're like, "Hey, Wim, I guess you're not going to have to do assessment anymore, haha," because the school's like crashed or whatever, and it's just like the kid just looks up and there's just X-wings flying, and it's like that is my heart every time I watch Star Wars. Right there, that feeling. It was just like, that kid's gonna grow up and like he's gonna join the good guys or whatever, and yeah. Oh, there was something else. Oh, I think my favorite line in the whole episode was when Fern said, even in the worst places that we visited, there was always a good guy there to help us. And it's like, she's like, okay, my daughter, now what do we do next? Because you are the only one who has any experience, as Jimmy says. But it was amazing. It was so good.
I love that line, Taylor. I forgot to bring that up, but that line was
beautiful.
Yeah, really nice. There's always someone out there to help. There's always a light in the dark, and I thought that was great.
Yes. It's beautiful, and you think back, and there really was always like a person. Like when they landed on the pirate planet, there was that chick from the entertainment place that was like, "Are you guys actually kids?" Like there is actually someone always there to help them, and it's just like, oh, my heart just wraps it all up. Just I'm happy. I just want a couple more answers, like what happened with Jod after he was being like, I'm too bitter, like I can't go with you guys.
Everything's like his whole world is like he had everything he wanted, but like you said, Mike, he wanted too much. He could have just all that gold that was in the back of the
Onyx
Cinder, that would have been enough for the rest of his life.
Yep.
He just couldn't
especially as rare as Republic credits are. Like, you know, all 1400 of the vaults flooding the market out there, then you're devaluing the credits.
Yeah,
That
that's what.
those
Yeah,
many
Yeah.
credits.
I was thinking that stuff too, and I was like, man, I don't want to
Yeah.
get economic or in here.
Yeah.
That's probably why he didn't want they're like, you have to leave the shield up, or else the whole
Yeah, because
point of
he
this
does.
planet
He
is
wants.
nothing.
Yeah, he wants to keep that planet
Mhm.
protected. I mean, for his own good, but maybe he knows some of that. How about that scene though when they deactivate the planet? I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
cool. CGI, the green
Yeah.
stuff, and then everyone's
Yeah.
outside. Just a lot of really good shots of the sky and the moons and then the people. I thought it all came together really well. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a city kid who never got to see the sky. You know what I mean?
yeah,
The first time
Oh,
you get to see the Milky Way up there, it's kind of the same thing that those people just got to experience. You're always looking up at those swirls, and then all of a sudden, the galaxy is just there for you. Yeah.
really
Right.
awesome. How'd you guys feel about the music in this episode? Like for me, the first 5 or 6 episodes, I never even noticed the music,
Mm.
and then last episode, and then really this episode, man, I thought it hit pretty well. I was really excited, and I love the end credits being Wim's, viewfinder
book.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Hollow
love
book.
that. And I
Yeah.
kind of want to watch that again and see if I can figure out what the story is of that
Mhm.
Jedi. You know what I mean? Like what was happening in that story. And then of course it flips to the kids and then it ends like it's its own adventure. I love the music. I love those end credits. And I've got a couple questions for you, and then we'll wrap it up. So what'd you guys think of the music and the end credit? Because that's the first time that the end credits were like that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
unless I missed
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. Even the font was different. I was like, what's going on? Like, I don't even have time to watch this because I have to jump on the show. But yeah, but I will get around to watching it. But I thought the music was phenomenal. It was just there was so many good like feel good moments in the music, and there was lots of like good lows, like quiet parts. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I love listening to the soundtracks from Star Wars. It's just then I'm not listening to the same like person singing the same song. Like I can just think my thoughts through. But I've been listening to like the 3 main songs from the Skeleton Crew for days. Like the one from the commercial, the theme, and then there's one where it's like called The Kid's Suite, and it just has a mix of all the different
very
Skeleton
cool.
Crew music. And I have been loving this soundtrack, so I cannot wait until this music comes out because I'm just going to be blasting it. I don't even care who's in the red light beside me. Yeah.
Love you, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really cue into it that much, but you definitely felt it in this episode. Just like we said earlier, the highs and lows, like as you think back, there's music attached to it all. There's a swell that brings you up to those happy peaks, and then there's the deep pitches that bring you down to those lows. Like it was there, but yeah, like I said, I just don't necessarily really cue in on it, but
Yeah, it didn't really, like I said, it didn't really hit for me, or I'd never even noticed the music until these last couple episodes, and it seemed like they really kind of cranked it up. Yeah, Taylor, I've been with you. My number one artist on Spotify this year was Kevin Kiner.
Yeah, me too. On the wrap up.
Yeah, when we wrap up was Kevin
Yeah,
Kiner.
totally.
People who don't know who that is, I mean, most of you guys probably do, but that's the guy who does all the music for like Ahsoka and Clone Wars and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
I
he does a
listen
lot
to,
of the
like,
Clone Wars ones
all the
too.
stuff from the Clone Wars, just beautiful. So my couple questions is, what do you think happens to Jod? Do you think he doesn't get captured? Do you think he slips out of there? Like, just what do you think Jod does now?
I think, yeah, I think he slips out of there somehow. Maybe he gets back into the Onyx Cinder. They left the Onyx Cinder hanging there. Maybe the engine's
But it was
still
like
firing.
the hull was like,
Yeah. I mean, somehow he's going to escape. Like you said, he's a survivor. I mean, it'll be hopefully we get a season 2 when we find out. But yeah, he somehow gets out of there.
What about you, Taylor? What do you think? What happens to Jod?
I think he's gonna sneak down right away. He's gonna stuff a bag as full as he can with credits and whatever else he can grab. And I think he's gonna jump on one of those miniature shuttles that was coming out of the big what did we call the big
frigate.
ship?
The
The
frigate.
frigate, yeah. So, because there was lots of little ones coming out of it, right? And they were
Yeah.
firing down on the people. So I think there's probably a lot of them on the ground down there. There's not a whole lot of At-Atin ships, as we found out, but the barrier's gone, so he can just jump one of those and whoop right out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't want to answer to any of his crimes. He doesn't want to have emotional contact with these kids that just broke his heart. Like, he's out of there. Just that look, like, can't go with you because I'm about to take off this way.
Yeah.
He's not staying there and assimilating into their society for sure.
No, he wouldn't be able to look at it without being sick every day. I know the feeling.
Yeah, for sure. Then what's next for At-Atin? And I put also the other planets because now, like, you got, was it At-Akron at war with one another, has no outside touch. Like, I feel like, and this is probably something they'll never even broach discussing, or we'll never see on the show. But what happens to these planets now? Like, Kim told us that they had been destroyed, but they all hadn't been destroyed. So maybe that's just part of the legend that they've all been destroyed. So, but now At-Atin, all these people, like we said, are like children. They don't understand how the real world. Some businessman can come in there and just bamboozle the crap out of these people. The public doesn't do a good job. So what's next for the people of At-Atin? And what I was like, man, what happens now? Like,
yeah,
barrier's gone. They're open to, and then there's just that small little community on that big giant planet too. Is like, is that planet going to grow? I mean, they're the wealthiest. I think it might be the wealthiest nation in the New Republic with all that gold.
But if they don't know how to protect themselves, they don't know how to be adults. They don't know anything about, like, you have all that gold in the world, but if you don't know how to protect it, if you don't know what the true value of it is, it's worthless. So
yeah,
I guess they got to hope for the best from the Republic. The Republic sends some good people in there.
The New Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably going to be a whole, like, well, the Republic has a really good way of, like, reincorporating people back into the system. Like, as we saw in, like, Andor and stuff, they have all these programs to get these horrible people back into society. So they've got to have some kind of ways to do this with full planets. And when they like, I don't know, recruit a new planet into the New Republic, it's going to be like, this is the rules now. You've missed out in the last 30 years. Like, I really hope they get a really nice, like, actual Republic emissary. And then they're going to have to do this with check out all the planets. Yeah. And then it's like this one planet that's doing the whole, like, war inside the, the night at the museum where it's like, there's so much stuff going on. And then there's this one tiny little display that has these people and it's like, it's like your argument is nothing. That's just what it reminded me of, the planet. Maybe maybe someone will come down and be like, hey, we thought you guys were all dead, but turns out you're just at war with each other.
I think that's I think there's a lot there. They could kind of go into them. I'm not sure they ever will, but be interested. Ed thinks that he can see Jod stealing an X-wing. That'd be kind of cool. Dad Vader over on Instagram says, credits telling the story, not sure whose, but it's there. He also says starting a new empire costs a lot of money. First order piggy banks. So that's the Dad Vader.
Oh my goodness.
There. But I mean, that's one thing I thought too, is like, if the wrong person finds out about these places, is this the First Order getting funded behind the scenes?
Because they
it makes a lot of sense.
In the Bloodline book, that's what happened in the Bloodline book. It just doesn't say where most of the money came from. So, there you go, Dad Vader. You're onto something.
They said that they were going to try to explain things of the sequel trilogy through these shows, and is that an explanation of where the funding comes for the First Order?
Could be.
Yeah. So I mean, lots of great questions.
Of planets that make money.
Oh yeah. Poptography's on here. He goes, best line, son, you're talking to a level 7 systems coordinator.
Yes.
We talked about that. That was great. What a great line. I know, I was pumped when Wendell said, let's go, Wendell. A lot of those, like you said, Mike, like the yell out loud, like cheer out loud kind of moments. And Star Wars Props just joined us. He says, well, hey everyone, what are your thoughts? We love it. There's some people in our chat that loved it too. Thought maybe it wasn't long enough. But I think the three of us are pretty pleased. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I guess we could
Yeah.
score it. I know what Mike's going to give it. So, Mike, you just want
You
to give
think you do?
it? Oh no,
Yeah, it's
Mike,
a
what do you give it a square? It's a 10.
10.
So, Taylor, what do you give this one?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know. Okay, I'm gonna give it a 9.5. No, I don't even want to give it because I don't even find any faults. I feel like I can't give it a perfect score because there's always going to be faults, but I can't even think of any faults because if someone says that we don't have answers, that's not even a fault because that just leaves us
fault,
wanting
right.
more. That's what I
Yeah.
want. 9.8.
9.8.
Final answer. Click.
9.8. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the 9.5. I wish it was a little bit longer. I mean, that's not
Yeah.
like a terrible, problem, but yeah, I'll say 9.5. There's always room for improvement in every episode, I think, but these are so good.
Yeah.
For me,
they are.
I'm going to say Star Wars Props says definitely wish it was longer, but try to spread the word if you loved it and want a season 2 because Lucasfilm is watching everyone's reaction right now. Option to pick up season 2 is soon. Yeah, that's another thing too, and we'll talk about it a little bit more this weekend. And we talked about it a little bit where like I wish that people who loved this stuff were as loud as the people who hated it.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because I think we appreciate it, we enjoy it, and we're like, oh, that was really good, and then we just kind of leave it. I mean, I think we need to rewatch it. We need to. I tell everybody like you need to watch the show. Some people have been burnt out. Like, oh, it's nothing like Acolyte, or it's nothing like anything.
So different.
Mhm.
It's a different story. And Pop Tarver says the last episode was really great. Yeah, I loved all of them. Any final thoughts, you guys, on this first season and hopefully of more? Now, where they go from here, I have no idea. There's lots of stories I think to be told because I mean these kids' world is about to get blown up even more so than it did on this first adventure. So what any final thoughts, I guess?
I mean, I've made my thoughts pretty clear throughout the whole thing. I've loved it. I've enjoyed the heck out of it. It's masterful storytelling. I like to say is they told us exactly what the show was going to be, but week to week we were surprised with what we got still. Just so well done. Just so well done. And like I said, I don't rewatch a lot of things. I've rewatched the original trilogy a billion times, but I mean, most of the other shows I've not rewatched, but this is one I would definitely put on as a definite rewatch. It's just so much fun. This could go down as an all-time classic. I feel it really could.
Yeah.
What about you, Taylor?
I just really enjoyed it. Like it's just fun. Like the whole time was just fun. Like every episode I'm smiling because I'm seeing like just the immersion of these kids in this like world and this galaxy that we want to be in. It was a really well told story, like you said. And there was one scene at the end there, and I think it was like when it's Vane and he's like flying the ship and he's like, oh, and he's like trying to shoot them, and it was just like, this is Mando. This feels like Mandalorian. Like it was like, yes, I believe that they're in the same galaxy. It doesn't feel like two different shows, like the Acolyte and stuff. So it felt so good. And also one thing that always bothered me was that those parents do not know how to run. Like, come on, run! Like, run! But then again, think of what they've been doing their whole life. So
yeah,
that's my.
If you never had to run, would you ever run? I know the answer for me. No. If I can get away without running, I'm not running.
Now you're all gonna be watching those parents run, thinking the same thing. Like, come on.
When Wynn's dad Wendell was running to KB, I was like, "What is happening here?" Like, but a lot of times though, you watch actors and stuff, like they can't run, like they look awkward. Yeah. They look like Phoebe from Friends, her like.
Screenshot.
Yeah, Star Wars Prop says it seems like everyone loves it, but the viewership is low. The only thing I want to know where these numbers are coming from because
Yeah, I think
the
it's
one
fake.
place I saw was Comic Book News, and those guys suck. Like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it right now. I don't care how big and powerful they are. They suck. They're always negative. I feel like they lie about half the stuff and they just make it up to get clicks, and it's worked.
Mm.
Mm.
You know, because
Man,
I
it
mean,
sucks to suck.
I've seen that clip about the low viewership numbers ever since Cosmic Book News or is it I can't remember. Either way, they're always spreading like just negativity because they need those clicks. And I hope that that's not true. I think this with word of mouth catches on. I think this gets going. Hey, you want to show what
Mhm.
you and your kids can watch? Check this out. Do you like Star Wars? Do you like adventures? Crafting on Ilum, Tiara, she says, I wanted to know more about the murals. Yeah, I am interested about that. I wonder if it's like a fake history. You know what I mean? Like, because they seem like
Yeah.
there are these planets that were just established for the, and they're all the same cookie cutter planet. So is
Yeah.
it some kind of fake history? Did they fool the first group of people that lived on these planets? How long have those planets been there? She says, absolutely intrigued when the supervisors, like last transmission, said Jedi were traitors. Yeah, we talked about
Yeah.
that. So that was kind of crazy. But yeah, I like that too. That the fact that the droid was like, "Which one are you lying about?" I thought was really
Yeah.
clever.
Showed some humanity out of that droid.
Yeah. Ed Friday says a solid 9 for this
Like both.
episode. He says a hell of a ride, 10 out of 10 for the season. I don't remember being
Yeah.
this hyped. I have to think about it, and we'll reflect on it later. And I don't want to do like recency bias, but I don't remember having this much fun with any of the other shows. Like I
No.
enjoyed the other shows. I
Mhm.
really liked Ahsoka. There's parts of the Acolyte that I absolutely love. And Andor and I don't remember. I guess maybe whenever the ending of season 1 of Mando was pretty awesome. But
Yeah.
like, man, I really, really enjoyed this series. This was a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
I would say since Mando season 1 through now, there's like I loved all those shows, but there's definitely points of all of them where you can point out things that were cringy or things
Yeah.
that just didn't work quite right. Like there's definite things, but like you said, this could be recency bias too, because I mean, obviously I'm loving the show, but week to week, I struggle to find anything to really poke at, in the show. It's just really well done. Yeah. So enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see, we got Star Wars Prop says, yeah, agree. Not everyone watched Andor and see what came out of that. Yeah, I mean, they spent the most money ever on that. Poptography says that the droid quotes palps even when they're getting stabbed by the lightsaber. It sounded like him. So he's talking about that part with like watching them with interest. 7 out of 10, solid show. Clint, he's just sad that his Broncos went the way of the Steelers. He really means it. And
Brandon, when Brandon's kid gets a little bit older, like say 8 years or so from now, that kid's gonna love this show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is I was super excited for season 2 of Bad Batch, but season 2 was actually my least favorite out of the 3. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, overall, great. What a ride! What an adventure! I mean, and I'm so excited that they told us right to our faces what it was going to be. They delivered on what it is. This is how you write Star Wars, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
This is how you deliver Star Wars. This is how you make it look like Star Wars. I mean, I have a hard time finding fault.
Yeah.
I mean, my biggest fault is I want more of it, and that's not their fault.
Give these guys a movie.
I wish that Kathleen Kennedy would do her normal overreact and give them a trilogy,
Mhm. What's going on?
That was a weird noise over there. I don't know.
Oh.
So, but yeah. So, all right. Well, scored it. We loved it. We're going to talk about it more. I know that this is going to be a topic of conversation moving forward. I want to thank Taylor. Thank you so much for jumping on here, getting on these last couple episodes with us. It's been a blast talking Star Wars with you. Taylor and I will be coming back, talking some books hopefully here pretty soon. Because I finally finished Breaker. a little underwhelming, but we'll see. Mike, thanks for joining the group and doing the Crow's Nest and everything else. And Mike and I will be back next week with the
that's
regular
fine.
Mailman and the Jedi live shows. We'll be talking some stuff about this probably. What did Clanburn and Lawrence say? The only thing I wish it would have happened, Mando, is I don't think we've talked at the length. I don't feel like the show did any cameos. I think it did a good job of standing up on its own, but I don't know if I don't know how I would have felt about that. That'll be a question I think we'll have to talk about next week. But again, thank you both for joining us. Thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for chiming in. We love your opinions. We love hearing from you. I'm glad. It sounds like everyone that's watching the show and following along with us loved it as much as we did. So what an awesome ride. I really hope that Disney learns from this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's only like my final thought is like, pay attention. Like this is how you do it. So signing off from the last time from the Crow's Nest until season 2, hopefully we have spoken, and we won't see you guys next week from the Crow's Nest.
No, not from the Crow's Nest.
See ya.